Welcome back to the Venom Workshop. Today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you how to change the steering column in this 1300 watt. Now, the steering column in this is going to be the same also as changing the steering column in our 1000 watt ATVs. It's going to be the same process. There might be a screw or a bolt in a different place, but it's going to be the exact same process. So I'm going to do it step by step, and we're going to take the steering column off, and I'm going to show you how to put it back on. And okay, so all I'm going to need to do is just get my tools ready, and then I'll get everything down into position where we can work. You'll need just a couple basic tools. You're going to need a 10 mil socket, a 10 mil wrench. You're going to want a metric Allen key set, Phillips screwdriver, and a set of wire snips. You're also going to need a 17-inch socket for the bottom of the steering column itself, and then a couple of tie rods. I think you're going to probably need a 12 or a 13 mil wrench too. So that's basically all you're going to need. It's all just basic hand tools, nothing too crazy. So I'm going to get all that together, and then I'm going to come right back and we'll get started on this. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to come up here and we're going to start taking everything off. We have to take the actual body off to do this, which isn't a huge deal. Don't mind this ATV. It's actually a used ATV. It gets used a lot. It's been through the mud and through some holes. But other than that, it's a good little ATV. We're just going to change the steering column. We're not going to actually change it, but it's a very good video to have. So I'm going to grab all my tools here I'm going to need. And we can get started. Okay. Maybe Racing was nice enough to send me a little care package, and it had gloves in it, so I can always use mechanics gloves. All right. And what did I do with my tray now? Oh, there's my bolt tray. Have a bolt tray or a container or something just to put your bolts in. You're going to want to do this on both sides. And you want to pop the seat off, because there's some bolts up on top there we're going to want to take off. So these ones don't actually have a nut on them, they actually bolt right in. Ones at the back there, I don't know if I just can see what I'm taking off here. Here we go. Okay. Now underneath here, there's going to be nuts. So you just hold it with this wrench here. Okay. So now we're going to keep up taking the body off. Now I'm going to take off just these two here. Then I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to do all the exact same thing. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's literally the exact same on the other side. And then after I take off those, I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so I did that side. So now next step is we have to remove the handlebars. And we have to remove this switch here. Now the switch, I'm going to go a little bit here just so we can see everything. The switch is really easy. It's just a Phillips screw. And you just want to remove the top knob. Just like that. And then I just put it back down in my tray with the bolt facing up so I don't lose it. And then we're going to start taking off the stuff from the handlebars. So the brake lever's got to come off. You're going to need a number 4 Allen key for that. And you can go ahead and just remove both bolts. And then just put them directly back in. That way you won't lose them. You don't have to put them in all the way, just screw them in so they don't get lost. Now the throttle, we can go ahead and loosen it, but we can't take it off yet because the wire won't allow for it to come. And it is a 3 mil. Plastic all around. So the hole, or the bolt, is right here. Yeah, I'll have to put this first. And you don't have to take that bolt right out. Just want to loosen it off till you can move the throttle, and then you can leave it alone. Now you're going to go to the other side and you're going to do the same with the brake handle, but we're only going to take the brake handle off. The perch, I mean, we're going to take the whole perch off, but we're not going to remove the horn button. We just don't have to. And I'll show you why in a couple minutes. Okay, just like that. We're going to leave it like that. Now next, I'm going to take off our handlebar bolts. Now to do that, you're just going to need a 10 mil socket.
That. Oh, that fell down, but we'll grab it in a minute. Okay, perfect. Now we can take our handle and we can slide it off of here, so it's not on the throttle is not on anymore. And then we're going to there's 2 more bolts to take off, and we have to unplug the rear signal light, but and we have to unplug our ignition. So I'm going to show you how to do all that in just a moment, as soon as I get right back. Alrighty, so we're back. So now all we have to do is disconnect our wire here at the back. So I'm going to need a set of snips. So underneath here, there's a zip tie. You just have to snip the wire. So I'm going to do that first. That's just so I can disconnect the rear taillight wire. So when I take the body off, it doesn't affect anything. We're also going to want to unplug our ignition. So we're going to go down here. You're gonna follow your ignition wire. It's gonna come to a 4-prong plug. It's green. Just unplug it like that. You're also gonna have to unplug your headlight. So if we follow our headlight wire back, it goes to there. I'm also gonna snip that. There's a zip tie here. There usually isn't a zip tie there. Usually all these wires are in a boot. I just want to find my headlight wire. There it is. Your headlight wire is always going to have a blue and a white and a green on it, just like that. Okay, so that's off too. So all we have to take off now is underneath right here. So let's see if I can get a look at it. There's a bolt. Yeah, there it is. So you have to take out that bolt right there. That's just a 10 mil. And once that's off, we can take the body right off. I'm going to take that off on both sides. Slide around to take the other one off really fast. Perfect. There we go. So now we just have to take the body off. To take the body off, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to raise up the head my camera here because I want you to have more of a better view of this. So we're going to do this. So now when you lift the body off, all you have to do is lift your controls all up, and your handlebars are just going to go like that, and they'll go through the opening then too, like this. Lift up. Let it go
go through there like that. Your handles go through. Like that. Throttle control go through, and then like that. And we can take the body off and then just set the body out of the way so it doesn't get stepped on or anything and crack something. Okay, so now I'm gonna get the tools I need to start taking off the steering column, and I will be right back. So next, what we're gonna take off is our tie rods, so that connect to the steering column itself. You'll see it, they're down here, right down here, and that should be a 13 mil bolt, I think, on there. 12 or 13. That's 13. And you're gonna need an Allen key for the bottom. I think it's a number 5, if I'm not mistaken. It might be a number 6, but I'm pretty sure it's a number 5. And I'll show you the best way to get that. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna stand the unit up, and I'll show you why in a minute. I just want to clear off all my bolts and stuff in the tray here from right there, and then I'll stand the unit up, and we'll go from there. All right, so I got everything cleared off my 1300W now. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna hold all this together, lift up the ATV, and set it on the back rack. And I can just let that hang. Now, when you're doing anything like this, especially if you're going to have if you're going to be putting any of your tools near the battery or the connections or the gear selector or anything like that, take your battery out. You don't want to arc a 1500-watt battery, or sorry, a 1300-watt battery. It's a lot of voltage, and the lithium is just it's a different sort of an animal. So you don't want to be doing too much damage to a lithium battery. You want to be very careful. So we are going to have to remove this bolt here. So I like to remove this one before I take these off, just for the simple fact that this bolt, these will stop it from trying to rotate when I take that bolt off. So if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's 17 mil. And it is. So there you go. Just put your bolt and your washer down with your tray. Now we can go ahead and take our tie rods off, which are, like I said, right here. So that's a 13 mil wrench and a 6 mil. I should have grabbed a 13 mil socket, it would have go faster. I think actually I'm going to do that. I'm just going to grab a 13 mil socket. Go. Now I'm going to leave my my bolt in there, and I'm just going to put my nut back on it. And when I put the steering column back in, I can just put
Put it right back on. Now, same, the other side is the same. Of course, I dropped my Allen key. Let me get this. All right. Okay. There we go. This is the same. I'm just going to drop it down. I'll put my nut back on the bolt. Just like that. And now we can remove our, our steering column. Now, to get the steering column off, we have to remove just 2 more bolts. So these 2 here. So this is a 13 on the top, and the bottom is a 14. So you just need a 13 mil socket and a 14 mil wrench. And this is what I was talking about, disconnecting the battery. You don't want to touch these wires with one of these wrenches. Boy, that'll light you up something fierce, and you don't want to do that. So I'm just going to remove those bolts. And then there's this collar here. Before I put that back on, I'm going to want to put some grease in there. So that's our last bolt right there. Now all you have to do is pop that collar off like this. There's a little spacer in there. And then it all slides out like that. And that's how you get your steering column out. So make sure you put your collar and everything back together like that, and just put it with the 2 bolts. If you notice, there's a little bit of grease here. I'm going to clean this all off really nice. This one's actually not bent, but I just wanted to do a video, so I'm going to clean it off really good, get it set up so I can grease it again, and we'll get it back together. Okay, so you'll notice I cleaned up my my steering column here, and I also cleaned up the yoke for the top. Now, what else I'm going to be doing is we're going to be greasing this. We want to make sure that we have grease in the yoke, and we have grease down where our steering column is going to go down on the inside there. So I got my little grease gun out here. I don't know how much grease I have left in it, but we're going to see if we can get some grease. There's a little bit there.
You don't need tons in there because it will spread out. I'm running low on grease here. Yeah, take off my gloves. I want to spread that grease around with my finger, so I'm going to spread it in here. Side 2. And then down on the shaft here, I'm going to spread out the grease here too. There we go. So now I'm just going to clean up my finger and stuff, and I'll get it back, my camera back over, so we can start putting in the steering column back on. And that's it. Then we'll put everything back together, and you'll be good to go. So I'm just going to move my camera over, and let's get this put back together. Okay, so putting it back in is very simple. All we're going to do is put it like that, slip it into the shaft down at the bottom. There we go. And then it lines up right here just the way it's supposed to. Go ahead and slide our bottom section in first, just like that. Put our top section in place with the guide pins. There we go. And now we can go ahead and put our bolts back in. You don't have to tighten them up just yet. I want to show you something first. Okay. All right, now when you have it in there like that, you want to make sure that your triangle is at the bottom like this. It's not supposed to be at the top, it's supposed to be at the bottom. So it's supposed to be just like that. So now we can tighten these bolts down. So that's our 14 and our 13. There we go. Okay, then you can test it. Yep, steers nice. Beauty. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we can put our tie rod ends back on. So we can switch our camera around to the other side. And for our tie rods, we're going to need our 13 again. And our number 6 Allen key. And your bolt goes in for your tie rod from the bottom.
It's threaded there. There we go. Now I just have to tighten it up with my 13 mil. And there's like a little ball joint on it, so as soon as you get it tight, that's as tight as it needs to go. Go. Over there. There we go. Now we're going to put the other side on. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Now we just want to make sure that we put in our bolt right here. It's a 17 now, if you remember. Just got our lock nut right here. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to just move my camera back and we'll drop these back down on all four wheels and then we can start putting the body back on it. Your handlebars and stuff, you just leave like that for now because once we put the body on, we're going to have to feed it up through the hole. So I just have to get the body and we'll start putting it all back together. Okay, now so we're just going to put the body back on. Now when we do that, we're going to want to make sure, go ahead and if I was you while this is off, and you can put this dust plug back on. Well, now when we put this back on, we're going to want to run this light wire and make sure it's better if we run it over this. So when you put it in or put this on, we're going to start at the back and we're going to flip that over. Even if it falls down, we can always flip it back over once the body's on. So what you're going to want to do now is pick up your handlebars and all the controls. We're just going to set the body there like that for now. Grab our handlebars and our controls. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything up through the hole.
And you don't have to bring it all through at one time. Now I just have to reach down by my throttle, bring it up, like that. Now everything is through. That's all I really wanted to do that way. And then I want to make sure that my key wire doesn't get, or my ignition wire doesn't get tangled anywhere. And then just like that, and put it down. Oh, and we want to make sure it's centered like that. And the best way to do it is just look at your transmission button here, and you'll see that it fits straight down inside. And then when we come to the sides, we want to make sure right here the body mount is on the outside of this tab on both sides. So I'm going to go check the other side. There, it's on the outside now too. And you want to check also your wire down here to make sure it didn't get pinched underneath, and I'll show you what I'm talking about there. So this wire, you want to make sure it didn't get pinched anywhere, so it does go back here. You can plug it in right now, but you're going to have to put a zip tie to hold that wire up. Excuse me. There we go. So that's put back in. Back over here. And our little number 10 here. We can go ahead and we can put it back in. Just gonna grab my socket. There we go. And you just want to snug that up tight, but don't over tighten it. You'll just strip the bolts. Okay, so that's in. Now, while you're down here, you might as well plug in your ignition wire, and it goes to a 4-plug wire. I just need to find it. There it is. And the colors of those wires are orange and blue. So you just plug it to that, like that. And then our headlight is right here. Remember I said we want to pass it down over that bar. There we go. There's our headlight right here, and it plugs into a multitude. It's got red, orange, black, and green. And that's depending. So on say like our 1000-watt unit, it might be a different wire configuration, but it's gonna be the same thing. You're gonna have to unplug the same wires. And most times what's holding all these wires together is just a rubber boot. All you have to do is just snip the wires or the zip ties on the rubber boot. Okay, so that's all mounted. So now, we can go ahead and we can put our handlebars back on. So now when you put your handlebars back on, you can go ahead and you can actually slide this brake right on, I think. Yeah. Like that. And you can slide your throttle on like that. And then all you have to do is get one of your handlebar clamps. Put the bottom one on there like that. Just go ahead and start one of the bolts. And start the other bolt. Don't worry about tightening any of this up until the handlebars are mounted. Slide under your other clamp. And you're going to want to level your handlebars. And it depends how tall or how big your child is, because these move back and forth, correct? So if they're a little bit smaller, move them forward, and then we can adjust these as we have to. But it just all depends on how big they are. So usually I like to go right about there. And then you don't have to hold it once you tighten down that one bolt. It should hold the handlebar in place. And we can tighten down the other side. Actually, I'm going to loosen this one off a little bit. I like to keep them even. I don't like one way down and the other one up. Puts too much pressure on the clamp for nothing. There we go. Just like that. So now all we have to do is straighten out our handles and tighten them up. So first I'm going to tighten up my throttle. That is a number 3 Allen key right here in the back. That. A little tighten like that. We're good. Now we're going to need a number 4 for each brake handle. Now, when you do your brakes, what you want to do is you want to make it so this here, the master cylinder, is flush. Like that. Just like that. And then you want to make sure that your wires are in on the back of that. So just check your wires real quick to make sure they didn't slip off the switch. That's all good. It's good. Okay, so now the other side is the exact same. So I'm not going to just do the exact same on the other side. It's the same handle. You're going to do the exact same process as this. You didn't touch your horn button, so that's all good. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep going with the side. We're going to put all the side back together. So we're going to put our 2 screws back in here. And those are just a number 5 Allen key. I have a number 5 on my driver here, so it just goes a little bit faster. Okay, so now I'm going to put our 2 bolts in here, and these should have lock nuts on them like this. They should be a little bit different than the other nuts. These should have a plastic thing on them. So I'm just going to put it underneath there and start it. And then I can put the other one in, and then I'll put my wrench underneath to hold it. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to put this one in. Okay, perfect. Okay. There we go. Now, we're just going to put the last bolts in the fairings. So this is like easy. It's not something hard. But I'm going to show you one thing with one bolt. We'll do 2. So you put your first one on here. Don't tighten it up. Leave it just in case you have to move the body. And I'm not talking just for this ATV, but every motorcycle, when you're putting fairings on, don't just go ahead and tighten each bolt as you put it in. Because if you have to shift the fairing or move it and everything's tight like that, it's not gonna move around. So I just do that finger tight. Same on the front. And you want to make sure those holes line up so your bolt's not just on top of it. There we go, guys. And now you just have to do the other side the exact same, and then tighten these up, and then that's it. And that, guys, is how you change the steering column in your 1000 watt or 1300 watt. Any of these smaller ATVs, it's the same thing. And that's it. Any questions or concerns, definitely reach out and we'll help you out. Come check us out on TikTok and like and subscribe.